All right, here we go. Elon Musk sat down for an exclusive interview alongside 7 members of the DOGE team, giving a behind-the-scenes look, a lift of the curtain up of President Trump's cost-cutting department.
The team consists of a wide range of experts, including a former rocket scientist and one of the co-founders of the rental site Airbnb.
The DOGE team also consists of engineers and all have the same goal, to slash wasteful government spending. Watch.
Our goal is to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion.
You technically are a special government employee, and you're supposed to be 130 days. Are you going to continue past that, or do you think that's what you're going to do? Or?
Well, I think we will have accomplished most of the work required to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion within that time frame. We actually want to be careful in the cuts, so we want to measure twice, if not thrice, and cut once. Actually, that is our approach. They may characterize it as shooting from the hip, but it is anything but that.
Some people say this shouldn't take a rocket scientist. Steve Davis, you are a rocket scientist.
Used to be. That all of us are willing to kind of put our lives on hold in order to do. I think the thing that's special right now is we actually believe there's a chance to succeed.
We really believe that the government can have an Apple Store-like experience. Beautifully designed, great user experience, modern systems.
This was beautiful. You know, Rachel, you have multiple kids, so you know the boogeyman theory. They think something is under their bed, and they think it's very, and then you pull it out of their bed, and it's just a little toy. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened yesterday. We haven't seen their faces, and so the media and the Democrats have been saying, "Oh, this is the boogeyman. They're trying to take things away from you." These are accomplished individuals that love the country and want to make life better for the American people. They're trying to create a user-friendly government, essentially. And I love, my favorite quote was, creating the Apple experience for these government workers.
Imagine, they were talking about creating that Apple experience in the context of the fact that they came in and said, we want to fix Social Security. And they're like, yeah, well, we can only do 8,000 cases, you know, a month. And then they said, well, that's because there's a mine. And they're like, what do you mean there's a mine? Or a day, I think. And then, what do you mean there's a mine? They thought it was like a symbol for something else. No, it's a literal mine. There's so much paperwork. Our government bought a mine, and they're doing everything by hand. And to your point, far from taking anything away, these guys are giving our money back. I mean, Brian, we're up on, we're really close to tax day, to when everyone pays their taxes. They take almost half of my money. When I saw what was going on, the amount of waste, the things that they said, they're finding $1 billion here, $1 billion there. You know, we heard about the $2 billion going to Stacey Abrams. This is so infuriating.
Yeah, I think when people say they do using buzz terms like, he's going to cut your Social Security. No. He's reforming Social Security to get the fraud out. Now, I want to see what is actually in our 3 cuts, and then I'll respond to it after. The thing that struck me is these are dead serious people, no interest in politics, their version of service. That rental guy, that Airbnb guy, a multi-billionaire, he runs into Elon Musk at a party, and he says, can you help us out? He goes, how? And he said, can you start reforming some of our systems? Let me go take a look. And they see so many things that are ripe for reform. And the term that keeps on jumping out is care. It's almost impossible to care about taxpayer money like you do your own. It's not real. We don't know what was coming in, and we don't know where it's going. And it doesn't matter because it's not theirs. Listen more of what the DOGE team had to say about their approach.
The sheer amount of waste and fraud in the government, it is astonishing. It's mind-blowing. We routinely encounter wastes of $1 billion or more, casually.
The first thing that got me really excited about DOGE was learning basically the state of government computers. By some estimates, government IT costs about $100 billion, and it's funding systems that are over 50 years old.
The amount of issues that were with the Social Security system are enormous. As an example, there are over 15 million people that are over the age of 120 that are marked as alive in the Social Security system.
Under the Biden administration, there was no departmental oversight within the Department of Interior whatsoever. None. We are now reviewing every single contract, every single grant.
There are in the federal government around 4.6 million credit cards for around 2.3 to 2.4 million employees. this doesn't make sense.
Right.
And so one of the things all of the teams have worked on is we've worked with the agencies and said, do you need all of these credit cards? Are they being used? Can you tell us physically where they are?
So the math is just not adding up. And you got these people that are respected business people in their own right. They don't need this. I mean, they're not getting paid that much. They're spending time away from their family and their own business, and it's causing all these attacks on Tesla. And the car itself didn't do anything. The people that are driving the cars didn't do anything. Here's Elon Musk on that.
Well, I think a great wrong is being done to the people of Tesla and to our customers. I mean, Tesla is a peaceful company that has made great cars, great products. That's all it's done. Hasn't harmed anyone. And yet people are committing violence. They're firebombing Tesla dealerships. They're shooting guns into stores. They're threatening people. They're issuing death threats against me and other Tesla personnel. What are they doing this for? Why? And what's happening, it seems to me, is they're being fed propaganda by the far left, and they believe it. It's really unfortunate.
And they're getting paid to do it, and they're making some arrests. But going back a little to what the DOGE team did. So what they're trying to say is the buzz term that Democrats have been saying is they're cutting Social Security, they're cutting Medicare. No. The one thing that really struck me when he says 40% of the calls into Social Security are people trying to change their account to direct deposit. And I thought his next comment would be, because it's so complicated, you should be able to do this online. He said, no, it's fraudsters trying to get Mr. and Mrs. Jones's account, pretending to be Mr. and Mrs. Jones, calling up saying, can you deposit it here? Yeah. So you got other people just flat out fraud, and it's probably other countries. So what they're trying to do is keep more money in Social Security. It's going to go bankrupt in 10 years. Everybody knows it. And also, the computer system that we're running on, the computers can't talk to each other. So for example, it allows a 9-month-old to be able to get a small business loan because they just use the ID, because they're fraudsters, in order to apply for a business loan. But if they were hooked up to Social Security, they would have been registered on Social Security, and it would have stopped it. A 9-month-old doesn't need a small business loan. So these guys come in, probably for no money, and they sit there trying to tie the computers in like it's 2025, not like it's 1982. And they're getting nothing but blowback, as if now, instead of being prideful of what they're doing, not seeing their family and their 4 kids, instead they got to not tell everyone or their family what they're doing because it's been misrepresented. And I do blame the administration just a little bit because these guys didn't want any fame and fortune, any attention. Therefore, it sounds like everything was a secret.
Secret, yeah. That's what Lawrence was referring to. So you saw a combination of both fraud, massive, billions and billions of dollars of fraud, and then incompetence, using systems like pushing paperwork like we did in the 1950s with file cabinets and manila folders. You saw both that. But again, Elon Musk talking about the cars. I mean, there is no room for political violence. No. He says we're a peaceful company. I'll say this. What they're mad about, for the most part, is the fraud he's uncovering.
That's right.
They're mad because there was a money laundering scheme where, like, for example, I'm going to bring up the Stacey Abrams thing because I think it's really instructive.
$2 billion.
She had $100 in the account of this thing and suddenly gets an injection of $2 billion. For what? What is she doing? How did she get that? This has been going on for a long time. They're laundering money. If you want to protest Tesla, there are some reasons to protest Tesla that are noble. For example, I believe these electric cars make us more dependent on China for all of these minerals. You could talk about the cobalt mines in Africa that are needed to make these batteries, where 40,000 little kids are working in these mines. Those are noble reasons to oppose Tesla or the electrification of all of these vehicles and this movement. But uncovering fraud? No.
Go to the Prius dealership. How about that? That might be a good way to start. Just the electric car in general. This is a totally American company. And we're finding out, too, with the arrest that they're having, like this guy, Paul Kim, he got hit with arson, destruction of property, possession of explosive device. They're going back to communists and pro-Palestinian movement, all working together. Connected. And when you go to your thing, Elon Musk keeps pointing us to the NGOs. They keep pointing us and saying they've been making so much money, these NGOs, and they are taking them down. They're making them validate their existence. They can't do it, so it's all coming down. And when you take something away from people that are cheating the system, they have nothing to lose, and that's what we're witnessing. And I got to give Musk so much credit. He just stares straight ahead and he keeps going. He does a great job of masking his emotions. He only owns 15% of Tesla, people. You're not hurting him. You're hurting the different pension funds and different funds around the country that looked at Tesla as a solid investment. And now all of a sudden it looks like it not be a solid investment because of the massive attacks. Now, some 18-year-old who's got an electric car in a senior year in high school, the parents don't want to let her take it to school because it could be targeted on the street
It's also so
by some lunatic.
because Tesla's not taking a position. Elon is taking a position.
Right.
They keep comparing this to Bud Light, saying, "Oh, this is what you guys did." First of all, we didn't set
Nobody set Bud Light on fire.
Number two, it was the company of Bud Light that took the position. It
what-
wasn't the owner of it doing stuff for the government.
I love that Brian brought up the NGOs again. When we were all looking at the border, what did we find at the bottom of this? NGOs making money. NGOs making the Catholic Church, Lutheran
Catholic
Church,
charities.
Catholic charities, Lutheran charities, Jewish charities, all of them.
And they don't want to let you in.
And they don't want to let you in. There's no transparency. What this is about is, as you said in the intro, pulling the curtain back, letting people look in, and deciding, come April, when you pay your taxes, do you want it going to that? I don't think so.
I just was wondering if there's any reasonable Democrats that could be brought into this process, like we just saw with Bret, no cameras, and say, guys, what you're protesting, what you're saying about cutting Social Security and cutting, it's just not true. Look at what we found. So I think that if there's reasonable people out there, and it's not Chuck Schumer because he's fighting for his life, like Ro Khanna was supposed to be on with us today, but he had a transportation issue. He has 20,000 people in his district work for Tesla. And also he knows Elon Musk for 30 years. So I'm curious to see if there's somebody reasonable on the left that they could start understanding what they're protesting and what they're backing is fraud. What they're protesting is finding out about that fraud. I dare you to watch last night and see politics. And I'm sure we're going to put it, I'm sure it's on foxnews.com. You click on special report, the whole show will drop down. You can watch it.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.